By 1865, following the discovery of oil, the village of Oil Springs had become a leading center of trade and commerce, with a population exceeding 4,000. In comparison, Port Sarnia in 1861 was home to only 2,091 residents. In Oil Springs at the best of times, there were 12 large general stores, many small shops, a daily newspaper, and several taverns. The main street, planked for a mile and a half, was called by some the finest paved streets in all of Canada. 4 stages ran each day to Sarnia, 19 miles distant in a straight line down the new plank road. Even though there were 9 large hotels in Oil Springs, the draw to men from Canada and the USA, who wanted to be a part of the rush for oil, had quickly led to a shortage of space in these hotels. The demand was such for space that men were paying for a place to sleep in 4-hour shifts, sometimes on a blanket spread out on a hotel room floor. There was intense activity everywhere, with so many men involved in digging, drilling, and refining the oil. At one point, there were 27 refineries in operation along the creek banks. Up to 500 teams each day hauled stone boats the 12 miles to the railhead in Wyoming, each loaded with 2 barrels of oil, as they traveled up a narrow, slick, wet clay road and a ditch known as the Canal beside what is now Highway 21. The return trip brought supplies, food, and equipment to Oil Springs. In 1866, at the height of the oil fever, a company from Chicago, anxious to cash in on the oil boom, was building a great hotel which would contain, according to a newspaper of the day, 108 bedrooms and a proportionate number of other kinds. The hotel developers boasted that, when it was completed, it would be the largest wooden structure in Upper Canada. At about the same time, Fenians conducted their first raids into Canada. Even though there were no raids in Lambton County, Americans prospecting in Oil Springs fled back south in great numbers. News of the Fenian raids broke just a short while before the plasters were finishing the interior of the hotel. Overnight, the population in Oil Springs dropped to less than 1,000. The new hotel was never completed. The building stood empty for years. This 108 room had as its only tenants bats and rats and owls, instead of speculative travelers and oil workers.